line up the remotes, grab the hanky, and let's turn the Eagles juju around as we talk about 2012's Silver Linings Playbook. Stay with us.
Get ready for the 3324 podcast, where lifelong friends Dean Legiro and Eric Kuber share their love of all things music and movies. Dean has directed short films and is a music trivia buff. And Eric, trained in audio engineering, brings his extensive knowledge of music and film to the conversation as they discuss, debate, and celebrate their favorite albums, films, and much more.
Welcome, friends, to the 3324 podcast, the playground of music and movie information. Eric, right? It's like the playground when you're a kid.
Yes, indeed.
Some episodes are like going on a slide. Some are like going on a swing.
Lots of fun. Late, and as of late, as we, this is our third year, and it's just getting better and better, and weirder, and the playground might maybe seem a little tainted at times, but we're doing just fine. So
some of the swings are getting rusty, but they still work. So we're still rocking and rolling. And we've got two guests for this episode, so we're going to be talking about Silver Linings Playbook. First up, Ms. Christy Cuomo. How are you? Hello. Joining us once again. How's things? Doing good?
I am well. Thank you for having me. Love this movie. Can't wait to talk about it.
Awesome. And we need to notch out some special room for a very special guest. Making his debut appearance with us is Mr. Matt Bussy. And he is the creator and host of the I'm Reviewing Here podcast.
You got it.
Right?
Nice. You got it. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Every time someone said it, what's the name of his podcast? I'm like, I'm reviewing here. Of course, you have to. If you're not doing it with that inflection, you're not a movie lover and you don't get it.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about your podcast? You're doing a very special. You're tackling a very special set of movies. So why don't you give us a little info about that?
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. And I'm so happy that you actually pronounced the name of the podcast right, because sometimes when I tell people about it, they get so afraid because I just scream out of nowhere. But I'm so glad that you got the Midnight Cowboy reference. It was actually my brother-in-law who recommended I call it the podcast I'm Reviewing Here. But so basically every 10 years, Sight and Sound, which is a British publication of the British Film Institute, they gather all these film programmers, film critics, film curators, and they ask them to vote for what they believe are the greatest movies of all time. And they started doing this in 1952, and they do it every 10 years. And last year they just announced the greatest movies of all time, and there's a ton of them. I thought it was just going to be like 100. There's like actually, because there were like tiebreakers and stuff, it's actually like over 250. And on my podcast, I'm going through every one of them. I'm watching each of them from the bottom to the top. New episodes are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, unless I can't find a movie because it's just that obscure. That does happen occasionally. But I'm just reviewing them, recommending them, talking about them. If I really, truly don't like it, I'm also not recommending it and explaining why. I don't like that. Happened recently. Pink Flamingos. I watched that for the first time, and no, thank you. I don't think I can sit for that movie again.
You had quite the disclaimer in front of that episode.
Oh yeah,
because your disclaimer was okay. If you don't like the following, and it was a laundry list of tawdriness. Let's put it that way.
I actually was like sweating while recording that episode because I was like, I cannot believe the words that are coming out of my mouth that I just experienced in this movie. But yeah, it's fun though, because I went to school for film here in Philadelphia at Temple University, and I just watching a movie, there's something so magical about it. Like they're really sitting down and analyzing every bit of it, even if it's like an artsy movie and you don't really get it, and like you're kind of like turning your head a lot. Like that happens all the time with me. Like I have to really sometimes go back and be like, okay, wait, I think I got that part. What's the director trying to say there? So I think it's so amazing, and then to read about the history of the movie too. And in film school, they call it ideological analysis of a movie. That's kind of at my school, at least, that's what we called it. And I remember like one of our first essays, we had to pick a movie and write about what was the secret meaning behind it. And people got really creative. People were like, "Oh, Toy Story, it's all about like the Holocaust." Or I was like, "What?" But then these reasons for it, though. They had all these like, and I was like, oh, maybe that is I can kind of maybe see that. But
there's some pretty wild theories out there. People come up with their own thing, and that's great.
I think what they're doing is challenging you to look at things with a different set of eyes, right?
Exactly.
Especially if it's a movie that you've seen so many times, which we've experienced here. Is a lot of these films we've seen, Eric and I have seen dozens of times. Yeah. But when I watch it for an episode, I'm trying to rewatch it either for the first time or to take my preconceived notions about how much I love it or whatever and kind of put it aside.
Exactly.
That's great. Mm-hmm. What made you choose that list? And 3 episodes a week, dude.
I know. I'm crazy. I'm a busybody. I don't. It originally was just 2 episodes a week, but then the whole podcast would get done by like 2025, and I was like, okay, wait, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know where I'm going to be. I don't know if I'm even going to be alive in 2025. So it's like, yeah, it's a lot of work, but I try to keep the episodes pretty brief. I try to not I always like to talk a little bit about something funny going on in my life just because I have a big mouth and I can't stop talking about that. So, but it really, I think I've got it down though. I've definitely got it down. And you guys know this too, because you're podcasters. I mean, when you start a podcast, you really do get like the podcast bug. Like once you start doing it, you're like, okay, next episode, I got to go and record. And it's very exciting. So I somehow am finding the time to do this. The 3 episodes a week though, I am myself very surprised at how I've continued to do this, but it's been wonderful though. And
awesome.
It's like what you said too about rewatching movies. Like I rewatched Raiders of the Lost Ark the other week and I've seen it like a million times, but actually sitting and watching it in one sitting, I was like, wait, I actually like love this movie. Like, because as a kid, I kind of was like, yeah, it's cool, like whatever, but I didn't really follow it. I just watched it like for the action sequences, but yeah, things change.
When Dean first talked to me about, having you on, and he's like, yeah, he's been doing this Sight and Sound. I know the mag, I know the publication, I know what because I'm a Criterion fan. And for me, my film school is Criterion. I don't consider myself a cinephile, but I'm more than just your average casual fan. Yeah, Yeah,
and that happens to me all the time. And also, Dean, to answer your question about like how I found out about Sight and Sound, I'd always heard of it. It was kind of just, I think late last year, I was just on the internet and saw this humongous list of movies. And then for the next few weeks, I was like, I've always wanted to start a podcast, and I love podcasts. I think I'm just going to do it. And so it's kind of just all luck, I guess.
And it's great. Awesome. We love it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. A few episodes, and you're great job.
Yeah,
great job.
Thank you.
Keep the momentum going.
Yep. Thanks. Thank you.
You're gonna rush to the end, then you can say, "Well, I'm gonna find another list." I guarantee you're not stopping. You might take a break, but you're not going to stop.
I'm not. I'm never going to stop. No, I've got the bug. I've got the podcast bug now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We can't stop. Won't stop. All right. Let's get into Silver Linings Playbook as we do. In our episodes, we always go through the stats, and that kind of gives some educational material before we get into all the fan theories and the crazy stuff. So this was released in November 2012, directed by David O. Russell, screenplay by David O. Russell, based on the book by Matthew Quick. $21 million budget, $236 million box office. That's a lot of money for this type of film, especially in 2012. This wasn't, 2012, you had the MCU in full swing, and that was kind of, that you expect that from an action film, not from a quote unquote small film like this. This had 8 Oscar nominations: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Editing. And it only won 1 Oscar, which is the travesty of this film. It's not a travesty that Jennifer Lawrence won, because she absolutely deserved it. And she was the second youngest actress to win the Best Actress award at only 22 years old. I easily feel that this could have been one of those ones that took all 5. I think the 2 leads and the 2 supporting actors and actresses, they blew it away. Christy, what do you think?
Oh, I agree with you 100%. I love Jackie Weaver in this movie. Absolutely love her.
I'm making Krabbies and homemade.
But it's not just that. It's these little facial expressions, the way she looks.
yeah.
She looks at Bradley Cooper's character. And
She's all reactions.
it's all reactions, and it's just these little faces. And when she's proud of him, or when she's like, or when he rats her out about things she told him not to say, and then he says in front of his father. But Bradley Cooper, probably my favorite role for him. My favorite movie with him. I think De Niro. This was nice. We were getting used to seeing him in films like Meet the Parents and these types of films. It was nice to see him in this as the father, but acting and the range for each of them was there. You know, it's really a unique film in terms of the comedy, the drama. It's a very serious topic, and I think it's handled brilliantly. Which David O. Russell made sure he wanted to do, especially because he wanted to make the film because of his son, who's in the movie. It has bipolar and OCD, I think. But in my opinion, it should have won all of its Oscars. I think it's one of my favorite screenplays. It's a great movie.
Yeah, like you said, all those actors had incredibly tough jobs. I mean, Jennifer Lawrence probably had the hardest. Again, she was not the first choice for this film. It looks, from what I've found, it was originally Vince Vaughn and Zooey Deschanel.
Yeah, I read that too.
Were the first two choices. I can't see Vince Vaughn handling this. I mean, I could see he's done dramatic roles, Matt, but I don't know about that. And Zooey Deschanel is just too quirky for it. Like, she's way out there on the quirk scale, right? I mean, what do you think?
I did not know that. That is just, I'm just picturing now how the movie would have turned out, and I'm like kind of cringing a little bit now. Nothing against those actors at all, but I just think, that would have been too weird. Yeah, I mean, this movie, I am surprised that I know Jennifer Lawrence won Best Actress, and she famously fell while going up the steps to get the Oscar, which was just so freaking, like, such a Jennifer Lawrence thing to do. So funny. But yeah, for some reason I thought it had won more. I remember 2012 was there are good movies every year, but 2012 there were a lot. There was Lincoln, there was Argo, there was Life of Pi. There were so many. And I think for me, like, the first time I saw Silver Linings Playbook, I had no idea what to expect. I mean, the name of the movie doesn't really make sense. Like, what does that mean? I didn't really get that. I actually first saw this at the Philadelphia Film Festival. I was volunteering with them, and they opened up with this. And I believe David O. Russell came, and actually the actress who plays Bradley Cooper's wife in the movie, I don't even think she has any lines in the movie, but she showed up as well. And yeah, we showed it. They showed it at this theater in the University of Pennsylvania, and everybody was just so stunned. I think because people didn't really know what to expect, and they were laughing and they were crying. And it's that movie that can do that to you. It's and also if you're from Philly, you just love it. I mean, like, I remember that shot in the beginning when Cooper's character is going back home and they go past the baseball stadium, and it's like, the amount of times I've driven past there, it's like, I remember the whole theater just went, whoa, like, during that. So it's a very Philly movie. I feel like people don't recognize how Philly, they associate like Rocky with Philadelphia, like The Sixth Sense, but not really Silver Linings Playbook. But yeah, it causes so many emotions for me every time I watch it. Like, I'm laughing, but then my heart's breaking. Like, I'm laughing at so many moments with Jennifer Lawrence's character, like the scene in the diner when they're eating Raisin Bran and she just smacks it off the table. But then there are heartbreaking moments, like when Bradley Cooper is like at the hospital and he hears the song that he heard when he caught his wife having an affair, and he just breaks down. And it's just this was like the first, I feel like, really dramatic turn from Bradley Cooper. And I think, Christy, like you said, I mean, that's just, it is, I think, his best performance ever. I mean, what a character, what a dedication he brought to this performance.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Let's go through the cast, and you and Christy both hit on something that we can probably start with, but let's go through this cast, because I don't think there's not a miss in the top, like the top level, the top tier cast. You have Bradley Cooper as Pat Solitano Jr., Jennifer Lawrence as Tiffany Maxwell, De Niro. What's with this Tiffany Maxwell thing? When she shows up after the Eagles game. Robert De Niro as Pat Solitano Sr. Jackie Weaver, like I said, yeah, she is all reactions. Jackie Weaver,
Yeah.
so great. Anupam Kher as Cliff, his doctor. Chris Tucker, what a gem in this film.
Black it up.
He could have overplayed this role.
He's very understated in this movie,
and it's perfect.
Oh, yeah.
It's
great.
perfect.
Yeah.
He always has an excuse. It's like, oh, my thing was overturned, and De Niro's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but he calls me jailhouse lawyer.
Yeah, it's a different performance for him because I feel like he's so popular for kind of being Chris Tucker. He
Exactly.
overacts. Like The Fifth Element is like one of my favorite movies, and his character is hilarious. And in this, it was so nice to see him really just play like a simple, ordinary friend.
Yeah. So great. Julia Stiles as Veronica Maxwell.
Oh yeah.
Who is Ronnie's wife, who is just all attitude. The great Shea Wiggum as Jake Solitano, which is Bradley Cooper's brother. John Ortiz as Ronnie, who is Pat's friend, and seems to. We'll get to it a little later. I think he embodies probably what Bradley Cooper's marriage was. I think because he's got that he's like 2 seconds from losing it himself. Two more people I want to go over. Paul Herman is Randy, who seems to always be at the house, and Dash Mihawk as Officer Keogh, who seems to be on patrol 24 hours a day. Whenever something happens,
you're going to see a lot of me. You're going to see a lot of me.
But he's there in a split second. I'm getting a lot of calls. I'm getting a lot of calls from the neighbors. People,
I got to come upstairs. I got to come upstairs. Do you want to go back to Baltimore? Do you want to go back to Baltimore?
He's at the movie theater. He's like, I got to take him. He's just there every time.
He's hitting on Jennifer Lawrence. Like, hey, you want to go get a drink sometime?
She doesn't do that anymore.
Like, yeah. Oh my god. So it's like this weird. It's like this strange little world that you only ever see these characters are pretty much these are the characters in the film. They're almost all in one scene. They're almost all in one scene.
In the parlay scene, they're all in the
after the Eagles, except for Chris Tucker. Yeah, the parlay scene. Everybody but Chris Tucker. Like the whole movie is in that scene. Like when it's going on. But what Christy and Matt, you both said that there's a lot of emotions in this film, and they turn on a dime. So it's not like it switches gears pretty quick. Especially the one scene when What Is and What Should Never Be is playing, and that's when after the diner scene, when Pat comes home and he's having he's looking for the video of his wedding and the music is playing louder than the dialogue. It gives you that manic feeling, and you see the things start escalating. But then all of a sudden, the doorbell rings and it's the kid with the video camera, and it's like, is he having a bipolar episode? And so like there's those moments of kind of like levity. And then Robert De Niro runs over, he's I'm going to take that camera and break it over your head. Then I'm going to go home and come back and interview you about how it felt to have the camera broken over your head.
That's David O. Russell's son, right? Yeah. Okay.
That's his son.
Yeah. That's his son. Oh,
yes.
Oh, I figured that.
Yeah, he was also in American Hustle. He was Jeremy Renner's son with the casino.
Yeah. What are you laughing at? What are you smiling about? Yeah. The kid's like smiling. Why say?
I'm going to take that camera and.
Yeah. So there is those. It's a good, like a good screenplay. You don't realize that, like you're laughing and you're being kind of taken out of something that's serious. And then it kind of shifts gears back into it, but it's not manipulative, Matt. Is that true? I've never felt like during this movie I was being manipulated by it. Like sometimes this is meet cute, and this is this, and this is that, and this had a more of a genuine feel to it.
Yeah, it's like never like an offensive movie, like it's never one of those movies that's like irreverent or like, oh God, like they went too far with that joke. I think it's I think it's because it touches on mental illness. I mean, people that have mental illness, they say things that are just absolutely inappropriate and unethical a lot of the time, but then they'll be laughing the next second, and I think that's what David O. Russell does so well in this movie, is he kind of just shows, without like like you said, like without really manipulating the audience, he somehow just manages to show like just like this crazy chaotic reality that these characters are living in. It's like they're all talking at once, they're all like just so much happens at once, like the fight that breaks out between Cooper and De Niro in that one scene, and then Cooper accidentally hits his mom in the face, and it's just like, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen, I think it's on YouTube, there's actually like a deleted or an alternate ending for this movie.
I love that ending.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just so crazy. It's just everybody talking.
The ending, I think they should have used that ending, because for me, the ending feels to me like everything is kind of tied up maybe just a little too nicely. And it feels like you're run-of-the-mill rom-com at that point. Everything, it just kind of wraps up. This thing, it's like it's exactly like what happens in the film. Is that balance, and yet in De Niro is it's all told from his perspective, and he's going from room to room. So all the scenes that you see in the ending, where Chris Tucker is talking to the mom, cooking the thing, but you see it like the shot is from a different angle, and it's from De Niro's point of view. But you see them talking, having that conversation, and then he cuts to another room, and you see Bradley Cooper sitting in the corner. And who's he talking to? But the kid. They finally let the kid in, and he's actually doing an interview with the kid. And so De Niro comes in, and he's like, "What the fuck do you got on under your jacket?" And he's wearing a Vikings jersey under the jacket. He's like, "Get the fuck out of my house!" And then Jennifer Lawrence, they show the shot where she's sitting on Bradley Cooper's lap. That whole scene where they're kissing, but then she gets up from his lap. And she's like in on the joke with De Niro, like telling the kid to get the hell out. So both of them are like, "Get out of this house," blah, blah, blah. And Bradley Cooper's starting to get all riled up again after that whole thing about him. Sundays are my favorite day again. Right. So you think it's nice and calm, but now, no, he's getting all riled. "What are you doing? No," and they're just joking. The kid is, "I'm joking with you." Like De Niro doesn't do that in the film. But he's messing with Bradley Cooper at this point because they've made that breakthrough, that connection there. So it's a really nice moment. The kid's obviously not in on it. The poor kid, he's out there. And Bradley, go get him back. Come on. But he's not coming into this house with that fucking jerk. Tell him to take that fucking jersey off. But that, it's, I thought it was such a better ending because it just fits.
I disagree with you. I think if you look at the whole movie, and mainly Bradley Cooper's character, the first time he meets Jennifer Lawrence's character at the dinner, and after they go back and she's like, "We could turn the lights off and you can fuck me," and then she hugs him and he's like, "What's going on?" He in the beginning encounters with her, every time he says it in his letter at the end, that he knew the moment he saw her that he loved her. It's just he had to catch up to it. Every interaction with her, he runs away. He runs home. He's looking for his wedding video. He's trying to stay in this manic place he's in. And it's not until after he finally figures out that she's the one that wrote the letter, he understands what he's been feeling, and he doesn't have to run away from it anymore. So I think the ending is actually quite appropriate, because the manic part of their lives is over, because he doesn't have to run anymore, and there doesn't have to be this madness and chaos surrounding him. So I actually prefer this ending to it.
Well, they show that. They show the parts where they're kissing.
But I just think because he's a different character after he reads that letter. When they go to the dance, he holds her hand. He's like, "What's this about?" Like he's very different. He's very even keeled. Like she's still Jennifer Lawrence is still all over the place, but.
Well, they say that his condition, or early on, they say his condition can be brought on by massive amounts of stress. And I think to Christy's point, he was almost in a prison of his own making, because he kept on stressing himself out about wanting to reunite with his wife, and stressing himself out about what he needed to do and read all the books and do all these things. And yeah, once he was able to let that go, I'm not saying he's cured. I'm not saying it was an overnight cure, but a lot of that weight kind of alleviated
that
itself.
angst kind of went
and
away.
he had more, he had more clarity with what he was doing. So,
right. But the point is that it's there, but it's like, but it also shows that this family is dealing with this on a daily, and that's to me what the movie conveys is how they deal with these problems, and it's just it's not preachy. They don't overemphasize, it's just all in how you deal with it, and there, you got people pushing each other to do the right thing and support. It's
an
really
ongoing
about
thing,
the family.
Well, the film handles mental illness very well.
Yeah.
The film,
the balance is just fantastic. Yeah.
So
it's
a couple of things I wrote for this. For me to sum up this movie for one person, I wrote, this is a study of mental illness, a marriage deteriorating, father-son relationships, football, and superstition.
Yeah.
And crabby cakes.
Because superstition plays a lot into Robert De Niro's character. Has this unwavering belief in his son, that his son is the good luck charm that will kind of fix his life, because he's trying to get this restaurant going through bookmaking and De Niro's character always goes back to it's you, you're this is because of you, all the good luck or whatever. And I just thought it was a lot. There's a lot there. There's a lot of different things for someone to latch onto, and maybe that's part of the charm of this film. Is you don't have to love football to be a fan of the Eagles in this film, because you feel that the family loves them. It's
sure.
I'm sure Matt can speak to this, that the Eagles are part and parcel of living in Philly. It's like,
it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
It's a lifestyle being an Eagles fan, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, totally. I mean, I'm not a sports guy, but I kind of I always fall for it. Anytime the Eagles or the Phillies play, I mean, it's kind of just an excuse for me to go out and drink, basically.
There you go.
But
so
no, but it is a big cultural
You don't have a
thing,
Deshaun Jackson jersey?
I don't. No, I am actually the worst sports person ever. I even talked briefly about this on my podcast about how when I was a kid for Halloween one year, I don't know why my parents had this, but they had a Miami Dolphins shirt. And I had a little football helmet, and I was like, well, that'd be a cool costume. And I put it on, and I started trick-or-treating, and every house was like, what is your problem? Why are you wearing a Dolphins thing? Yeah, and then eventually I got to one house, and there were these kids there, and they kept making fun of me. And I was like, okay, I get it. I'm just going to go. And I was walking, and then they ran up behind me, and they squirted shampoo on the back of my jersey. And I was like, you little shit. And I got so mad, and they sprinted away. But anyway, I say that that because that's just, I was 12, I think. Yeah.
I was 25.
No, I don't. No, I mean, I'm still not the smartest at many things, but I say that though, because that's my my level with sports, but yeah, it is huge in Philly. I mean, in other cities, of course, but yeah, I like too, Dean, what you're saying too, how I feel there's not one way to define this movie. It's not a sports movie. It's not really a rom-com. It's not strictly a comedy drama. It's so many things, it's kind of, I think those were the best kinds of movies too,
Well,
I think that's what kind of tricks you into it is you latch on to one thing, but you end up kind of getting enveloped in these other notions and these other things that trying to put across.
Well, Dean, to your point and how you describe the film, you have all these little. It's not just a drama. It's not a comedy. It's not a rom-com. It's all of these things. And it's, if you think about it, it's kind of almost probably more so than Jennifer Lawrence's character, but Bradley Cooper's character, because he's angry, he's funny, he's very loving. He's all of these things in the movie, and maybe the movie is probably supposed to be like that again, as a representation of the complexity of mental illness and how it's not just one thing. And it's not always bad, it's not always good, and sometimes you're on the meds, sometimes you're off the meds, sometimes it's manic, sometimes it's calm. And I think that I really believe that this film does a very good job.
It's also very selfish. affliction.
Yeah.
You know, you can be very selfish, caught up in your own thing, and it's like you're trying
by
to deal
choice,
with it.
not
Not by choice, right? But it's just but I like you say, it's like I like the way this movie balances all of that out with the humor and you know, one minute they're laughing and the next minute they're yelling at one another, and it's just, you know, you don't know how to.
A great example
react,
is when
you know,
Bradley Cooper's running by his old job and he runs up to the woman and he's like, and he's talking to her, and then she's like, she tells him that the guy that slept with his wife is still working there. He goes, "Why would you say that to me?" He gets really angry, and then she's like, "You look good. Did you lose weight?" He's like, "Oh, thanks for no." Like, and it's like he's here. And like, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, thank you so much." Like, you know, it's like,
he changes so much. Yeah, he changes so much. It's like the scene that always sticks out for me. The scene that always sticks out for me is like when he's jogging and Jennifer Lawrence is like, "Hey," and she just stares at him. And he's like, she's like, "Calm down," and he spits, and then she just spits to like mimic him.
I actually wrote that how they both spit.
Oh, really?
But what's interesting though is I was so surprised, and I had completely forgotten about, but it's such a subtle moment, is when you find out that the mom has been talking to Jennifer Lawrence this whole time and telling her when he's going to run.
It's one of the best faces, by the way, when that's
and she just does it so matter of factly. Like, it's not a big reveal moment, like, you know, like a big thing. Like it's just in conversation. It's like, whoa. Yeah.
Oh,
like I didn't, you know, and so
well.
Yeah, she was worried about. She goes, "Oh, we shouldn't lie." He goes, "Well, what about when you were giving Tiffany information about where he was going?" He goes, "Well, I'm doing this thing, you know." But another good scene about how like disconnected Bradley Cooper's character was, or to Eric's point of being like kind of self-centered, is the first dinner scene. Yes, right, where she, you know. He's like, you know, he says to Jennifer Lawrence, like, you know, you don't really know how to say things, or you say things really bad. He goes, she's like, you say more inappropriate things than appropriate. Like he was so not aware, so not aware. She goes, me. She goes, listen to the way you talk, you know. So yeah, there's the character is far from perfect and far from realizing it too. And the same thing with Ronnie when he was talking to Ronnie about, you know, you got to fix your marriage. And then Ronnie's like, I got the iPod. He's like, oh, you got the iPod.
Yeah. It's
like a show. Yeah. So it was like, show him a shiny object, and he was able, you know, like kind of distract him.
There was that one scene where he's like pushing him, right? Like, you know, they're getting, it's starting to get real tense. Like, what is he going to do? He's going to floor him, you know? And he's like, oh, come on, you know, like, and you know, that.
Got the iPod. Oh, you got the iPod.
I just forgot just how intense Bradley Cooper actually is in this movie. I was like, I don't remember him being.
That's why he got cast. David O. Russell saw him, and he's like, Bradley Cooper looked like someone who always was just on the verge of just. He looked like he was always holding in just a little bit of anger, on the verge of just blowing his top, and he does it very well.
Oh yes, yeah.
Well, people forget he was in Wedding Crashers.
I do not forget that fact. I do not forget that fact.
He played the dickhead in Wedding Crasher. He's like, what's his name? Sack, not Zach. No, Sack is his name.
Yeah, I forgot what his name is, but he's when he's
also the asshole in The Hangover too. Yeah, so exactly. I mean, you know, it's like he's just you know, used to seeing him in those kinds of roles where he's just kind of like the, you know, the jerk. But then ever since this thing, man, you know, and I love the fact that he's become a director now, and I think he did a fantastic job with A Star Is Born.
Oh yeah,
my wife is a big fan of that version of the film, but it's so he's one of the best.
No, he's very talented.
Yeah, he definitely deserved the nomination.
And he's a great singer too.
I think
who knew? Yeah,
I think one of the best scenes to show his range, to really show Bradley Cooper like what made it, is the theater scene when they're outside the theater. And you know, he's trying to talk to Tiffany, and she, you know, get your hands off me! Stop! You're assaulting me! And all the people start coming towards him, and then the music starts playing, and you really see him kind of, you know, Tiffany realizes what she did, like she really is seeing him start to break, like realize, and she says, "I'm sorry, I went too far." His acting in that scene, for me, was kind of like, wow, like you could really see that because all the kids are like yelling at him, and the music is playing, and he's kind of, you see his world start to kind of split open. I think his acting in that scene was superb. And then, of course, Officer Keogh pulls up and says,
Yeah, he just comes out of nowhere, right? He just shows up.
What are you bothering these kids for? Why are you bothering these kids?
Dean, I agree. I agree with you, but I think the scene in the diner leading up to it, Bradley Cooper is, and Jennifer Lawrence, but Bradley Cooper is really good in that scene when she's like, you think I'm crazier than you, and he's like, wow, like, but it's just and when they're talking about, she's talking about how she slept with all the people in the office. It's like, how many? 11. And it's just this intensity between them in this relationship. And again, it's just like these subtle little jumps he makes as an actor, and these choices he makes, and especially with these facial expressions. And then leading up to that scene, like it's literally the diner scene to the end of the theater scene is just is it some of his best acting in that film.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We got to give some kudos to the waitress. Hold it, Raisin Bran. When he's about to leave, you see she's waiting with the check, like when he's hold up, Raisin Bran.
Why'd you order?
Wonder how much that check was actually.
Why'd you order a Raisin Bran? Because I want to be clear, it wasn't a date. You can still have Raisin Bran on a date.
Yeah,
this is the best.
Why'd you get tea?
I say it all the time. Yeah, why'd you order tea? Because you ordered Raisin Bran. It can still be a date if you order Raisin Bran.
She is,
so funny.
I mean, she's just fantastic.
She's amazing in this. She's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, she had probably the hardest job because they really didn't want to cast her because of her age. So like Bradley Cooper was like 37 or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, she's 22. It's like, it's not going to work. But she came locked and loaded and ready to perform. And there's something about her eyes. There's something about the way she delivers.
She's confident. She's confident.
She's confident.
There's a vulnerability that she has.
Oh yeah.
That she can turn on just very quickly. But then she can fight with she can go toe to toe with him when it's, tell me about this great love. Tell me about this great marriage.
Or with De Niro.
Sometimes we fight and we don't talk for 2 weeks.
The scene with De Niro when things are getting real.
And then she gets the beer.
Cooper,
she's like, I know about you, Randy. I know what you're like, Randy. She's like,
Bradley Cooper is like sobbing. He's like, Dad, I'm not a loser. And it's like, this is really heavy stuff. And then she just shows up and, and
completely
turns the scene around. And it's just all about, and then she gives it to De Niro and it's like, wow.
He's like, now I like her. Now you like her, Dad. Now you like her.
Yeah. He's like, I think I do. I think I do.
I think I do. Yeah.
This really is like this. That just must have been like the best. I feel like 2012 was like honestly like the birth of Jennifer Lawrence because she'd already been nominated for an Oscar for Winter's Bone, but that was like a small movie.
That was a very good movie.
Amazing movie, and I remember seeing that. And like none of my friends like knew what it was about, and I was like, "No, it's I know it's indie, but you gotta see it." And there was this actress, her name's Jennifer Lawrence. I don't really know. And then she did X-Men, and I was like, "Oh, I think she's getting a little bigger." And then The Hunger Games came out the same year as Silver Linings Playbook. That's when she blew up. But then I thought like that was kind of just going to be it. And then this came out, and I just remember everybody being like, "Wow, she can like really act like." She just has so much confidence, not just in this movie, but like in any movie she does, even if it's a mediocre movie.
And it's range. She has range.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because the fact that she'll go from Winter's Bone to X-Men says a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And she's got a terrific sense of humor.
She does.
Wonderful, bubbly sense of humor.
Yeah.
She doesn't. It's like, we commented on, Matt commented on her tripping on the stairs at the Oscars, but she takes it in stride. She doesn't, she doesn't get embarrassed easily. She knows how to deal with that.
She has a Sandra Bullock quality to that.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Where it's just like she can laugh at herself when she falls going up the stairs to get her Oscar. Like she's not going to be like, oh my God. Like she all in stride.
She does that all the time. She was on the Graham Norton show one time, and she talked about how when she was filming The Hunger Games, they were filming in Hawaii, and she was like rubbing her butt against this big rock, and then the rock fell and tumbled down the hill and like almost killed the crew. And she's just laughing about it. She's just like, I don't care. Yeah. And it's so great to just see actors that can play such dramatic roles, and then you see them in real life and they're like your best friend. They act like they're like one of your best buddies. So it's
actually there's also that great footage of I think when she won the Oscar, they were interviewing her and Jack Nicholson is walking behind her. and he's like checking her out. She was like, because he's a notorious hound, and I think she said something like, oh, Jack Nicholson, and he's like, hey, you were really great. Like he was kind of putting the moves on her.
But she
took
knows how to
fun.
handle herself.
Yeah.
Though. She's very comfortable in her own skin, very comfortable with her sexuality. She's not afraid to go there. She's not afraid to talk about that stuff. But yeah, she's wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, the perfect foil for this, and that's what I think that's what this film needed is those two characters really need to be in sync, because it was like they were in their own little world, right? He goes, he said it at the end, Pat. He goes, you had to match my crazy with your crazy, and only those people, and only, and even Pat said it in one of the early scenes. He goes, maybe me and Tiffany and Danny, maybe we know something you don't, like almost like, that their affliction or the challenges was a superpower. Like maybe we know something. We're a little bit. It was like what it was. He goes, maybe we have Chris Tucker. He's like, yeah, maybe we have a sixth sense. Right.
Yeah.
And then Officer Keogh comes in, and De Niro's like, did your sixth sense tell you the cops were coming?
Yeah.
So again, they such a masterful weaving of, that's how it is in real life. Real life things are serious, and then someone makes a wisecrack and it breaks.
That's
it breaks the tension.
Life.
It's the levity. Exactly.
It is life, and it's so well balanced.
And that's what I love about this film is you feel sometimes, a lot of times, if anybody knows my father, the De Niro character, my father is somewhat close to that character with the superstition. My father had, some OCD in real life. So I see some of the parallels, and I'm like, that's, so it's a connect. These people are real enough that you probably know one of these types of persons in your life.
Yeah.
I think.
Yep.
Easily.
Oh yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
Interesting thing in the beginning, when Bradley Cooper comes home, he looks at the corner, and his picture is down.
Yes, down.
Yeah.
Not so subtle reference that he has fallen, right? That he has, that he needs to kind of pull himself back up, because then at the very end they're hanging the picture.
It's already hanging. De Niro straightens it out because
because
he's straight right now. He's straight. So yeah,
it's also noticeably bigger than the picture.
Yeah, than Jake.
It's a much bigger portrait of
But what about when he sees Jake for the first time, and Jake's like, I'm buying a house, you lost your house, I'm getting married, you're getting, and De Niro's like, why don't you stop telling about all the good things that are happening to you and bad things happening to him?
I think
it's a great scene because he goes, I got nothing but love. Nothing but love.
As
my friend Danny would say, I got nothing but love for you.
And Christy, this is definitely one of De Niro's best roles.
I especially later on.
And I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. We've had this discussion many times about De Niro and how he could be like, there are times when he's just on, but he's not overly.
Yeah,
he's just doing his thing.
He didn't De Niro.
This is one of those times where he just took it to a whole new level. In my opinion.
He wasn't De Niroing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He's just and it breaks your heart because he's afflicted too with the OCD, and you get definitely and it's like they're clashing, he's dealing with his thing, and it's like he's dealing with his thing.
Well,
and they're at odds, and because of there's two separate types of mental illness happening here in a sense, and they're sort of like, and the mom is like in between, and she's just like.
Well, because she loves them both so much. But Bradley Cooper addresses that on the way to the Eagles game. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry you can't come," and he's like, "We're not so
banned for life.
You got banned for like beating. You started beating.
We're not so different, you and I. With the anger issues or whatever." And De Niro's like, "What is that so bad?" Like, so they recognize that they are very similar in their ways. But the scene that Matt that actually that tears me up each time, and it wasn't scripted, is when De Niro goes in and he wakes Bradley Cooper up, and he's like, we got to spend more time together, and he starts crying, saying that I didn't know how to handle it, and I paid more attention to your brother, and I probably should have paid more attention to you, and I'm sorry, and he's crying, and Bradley Cooper's just looking at him and probably not prepared for this moment that's happening, and that one actually always chokes me up.
Because you know why? Because you don't really see that out of De Niro too often. He doesn't really cry. He's not a good crier as an actor, But this one, it
Wait,
was.
you're about
It's like,
analyze this.
No, it was, it was kind of, it was about that, all those regrets, like you said. He goes, I just want to spend time. I want to read about the Eagles. I want us to talk about the Eagles. Like, it's simple things. It wasn't these big life plans or this big thing. It was just like, I just want to be, I just want to spend time. And I know I messed up, and, I want to make sure you're all right. And that's that father-son theme throughout is De Niro is putting like all this pressure on him too, of it, the juju is about you, and you're the luck, and stay, and stay and watch the game, and the handkerchief, and and when it comes down to that scene, you really feel for the father. You really feel for De Niro about he's recognizing the missed opportunities, and he's recognizing that this is an opportunity that he has to help, because he said, all we want to do is help you. We want to get we want to get you straightened, help you get straightened out, or whatever that means, whatever.
There is a clip that I watched on YouTube, interview with Katie Couric, and it was
oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about? This. It was De Niro, Russell, and Bradley Cooper, and they're sitting there. De Niro starts talking. She asked him a question about, because David, Russell's son is, dealing with this. So, and De Niro just starts sobbing. He just starts crying. He can't compose. He's just. I started crying watching this because because it recalls the scene where he's talking to him. Yeah. But I've never seen Robert De Niro break down in tears before, like in real life, like in this, in an interview. Like he can't compose himself. And Bradley Cooper is crying as well, because he's like, holding his head down, and then Russell's starting to cry, and they're all crying. And then Katie Couric's like, she don't know what to do. She's like,
was this Katie Couric or Barbara Walters? What was going on here?
No, it was Katie Couric.
No, it was Katie Couric.
Yeah,
you don't get the Barbara Walters joke.
And he got emotional for David Russell because of his son.
Yeah,
De Niro did. Like he started, like he's like, I don't usually get emotional, but he just lost it. He just, yeah.
I would imagine working on this, like, and Dean, when he's at the end and he's fixing the picture of Bradley Cooper, of Pat Jr. Once he is settled for whatever time period, because again, mental illness is not something that goes away, and you have to treat it. And I don't want to say, everyone was better, because that's not how this works. But once he sees his son in a better place, when they show the living room, the remotes aren't all together, like things are, they show the disarray. So his OCD, which is also a form of mental illness, is also it's also kind of it's to the side. It's to the side for now, probably, and maybe they go through the cycles together. And I think filming that, there's probably just a connection, especially with the director having his son like that, and then those two actors just going through this roller coaster of emotions. I would imagine it was pretty intense. As fun as it probably was intense.
It must have really been such an emotional shoot. I mean, I feel like to film any movie that is drama, I mean, like it's going to hit you, but when it really hits close to home like that, I mean, that scene with De Niro and Cooper, when De Niro is crying to him on his bed, I mean, those look like really real tears. I mean, that looked like someone actually acting. Someone actually,
he was crying.
Yeah. It's like, and I think that's, that's what's, I always think it's just so brave about actors when they have to take on these roles. I mean, it's not an easy job to go and have to like scream at someone or say horrible things or do any of that. So I feel like I do too, but I just I definitely kind of like how this ends too, and that, because we all keep saying that mental illness, it doesn't just go away like that. It's not, it can improve a little bit, but I kind of like how this movie ends. I feel like, going back to the ending, it kind of does have like a Hollywood ending a little bit, because they end up together and it ends with that cute shot of them on the couch, but it's not like big Hollywood happy music or anything like that. And I think what's also good is it doesn't, and the alternate ending kind of showed this too. It showed you how the mental illness that they all have, it it's not just gone. It's not, it's not like on the mend even really. It's just, Chrissy, I forgot what you said. I think you said it's like on the side,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, yeah. And I think like, that's the beautiful thing about Silver Linings Playbook. It's that, nothing is really permanent, which can sound really crappy sometimes, but it's just the way life is. I mean, are Tiffany and Bradley Cooper,
Pat.
I forget.
Pat Jr.
Pat, sorry. Yeah. Are they gonna, really end up together forever? I mean, you don't really know, but I just feel like the thing is though, is that these characters, they've really, seeing them grow so much is the most beautiful thing. Cause when people we know grow up like that or change, it is, or when we change ourselves, I mean, we all go through it as well. We all have really rough years and rough moments where, regardless of if we have a mental illness, we get anxiety, we get nervous, we're human.
Nothing's permanent for any of us, regardless if we have mental illness or not. I mean, it's
what I think the ending is I think the ending is just simply put is it's the calm after the storm. It's not saying that everything is happy and everything is solved, but it's a period of calm, of peace. Because of everything else that all the intense stuff that happened, the dance off with the parlay, with the bet with the parlay, and Cliff is like, excuse me, what is the parlay? Like, so he kind of answered a lot of questions. If you're not
the fact
a sports
that Cliff,
person,
Dr. Patel's in the house, by the way, is hysterical.
Because he got thrown out. Like he got thrown out
I
with
understand,
all
but
of them.
it's
And he ended up.
And then he's at the dance.
They all came out. They all came
very
out to
funny.
see him, which
is very funny.
But that whole thing, I think is again another way to up the ante of. Okay, this is about, they have to do the dance competition, but now like the father's fate is now put onto this because he's a compulsive gambler, right? And Randy is going to take any bet, and then at the end, Randy is trying to make another parlay bet because he lost everything. He's like, I thought the Cowboys were America's team.
Why are they so
I thought
happy
they were
about
America's
a 5?
team, Randy.
Why are they so happy about a 5?
I love
Yeah,
that.
that announcer was great. He's like, yeah, why?
Why are they so happy?
Well, I
about
love
that silence. So good.
I love the bit when they're talking about doing the parlay.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, so how good are you? And she's like, I'm good. He's okay. I think
she's like, we're okay. We're not,
Yeah, he's a beginner.
that.
I'm okay. And
I love the fact that that reality is there. It's
and they say, could you get a 5? Could you get a 5?
Yeah.
And she's like, we can get a 5. She's like, it would be amazing if we got a 5. We would not. She's like, we can get a 5.
But it's but that's why they're like, whoa, no, don't, it's like, no, we're going to do it. And I'm going to give you 10 points. And this is like, no, it's crazy.
And it's so, it's so great when well, we didn't talk about the dance scene, but when they mess up the Dirty Dancing thing, and De Niro looks like, did anyone notice? Like he looks to the side, like, did anyone see that? Like, as her crotch is in his face, like for extended amount of time, and he's looking around. Is anyone noticing that this is happening?
Yeah, his face was like
died at that scene.
And the mom's look, the look on her face is priceless.
She's just like
her reaction.
She was just so proud. Yeah,
well,
she's just so proud
when they did the Fred Astaire dance. She was so proud of him.
Even when they messed up, when they cut to Jackie Weaver, she was just smiling.
She was crying, just that those happy.
She's proud of her son that he did this. Like she's what is this project you're working on? Like it was always this mysterious thing with Tiffany Maxwell.
Dean, when he said the dance thing, and he goes, it's making me disciplined. It's good for me. I'd never thought I'd say that. She goes over and it's a perfect mom kiss on his head. As like she's so happy. Like, and she's absolutely amazing in this film. I love her in this movie.
I feel like she's like criminally underrated, Jackie Weaver.
Not on this podcast.
Not on this podcast, but I feel like if you talk to any ordinary person, they were like, "Who's that?" And then like you'll show them a picture, and they're like, "Oh, I recognize her."
Dean,
but I remember.
Dean's got a hashtag Jackie Weaver for the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, you have to. She has that face that you did. Oh, I know her. Like you. Yeah. But
she's the master of expressions in this film.
Yeah.
It's all her, or most of her job is reacting to either being afraid or kind of like observing the interactions between father and son, and she's kind of behind it, and don't do the parlay, don't do the parlay.
And I feel like she also like almost, I don't think she almost got an Oscar nomination for this. I remember, like, wow, my memory. It was senior year when this movie came out, and I remember I was like already a geek and like analyzing like what's going to get nominated. And I feel like Jackie Weaver wasn't really getting nominated anywhere. It was really like Anne Hathaway was winning for Les Mis, and like Sally Field was nominated for Lincoln, and and then when she finally got the Oscar nomination, I wasn't surprised that she didn't win, because like Hathaway was like winning everything, but I was so happy that they finally gave that nomination to her. I mean, just so well deserved.
Like I said, soup to nuts.
Just because I just realized it when we were talking about it. So when Randy is like hitting on her a little bit, and De Niro's like, enough of that, gets jealous.
Get away from
again the similarities, because Bradley Cooper gets like that with Chris Tucker when he's dancing with, and so there's so many little parallels of father and son throughout this film that are just placed there for you to just pick up on. And just to see that, so it's both of their journeys through this movie. But I never even I picked up on it, but I never put how parallel that was until we were just talking about something.
Absolutely, and then the film, the film begins begins and ends with a pursuit. Is that Jennifer Lawrence is chasing Bradley Cooper when he's jogging? In the end, he's chasing her. Right, because she's running away, and it's almost a duplicate of one of the jogging scenes. Is when she turns the corner, she's running away, and he's running behind her, and she's like, "What do you like?" She's in the reverse of like, "What do you like? What's your problem?" Which is the way Bradley Cooper was in those beginning scenes of So I like that kind of callback where now
I like to run alone.
Her. Yeah.
So what do you
screenwriting, man? That's just screenwriting for you, right? That's how you do it. Like, oh man.
Yeah, they totally played with your heartstrings, and you love it. You're loving every minute for it, though. If you're not crying at the end of this film, there's something wrong.
And I just don't want this line to go away when she brings him to the studio, and she's like, it's a dance thing. He explains it to him. He's like, I'm good with a hammer. Like he's trying to talk her.
Pick something if you want.
He's like, I'm good with a hammer, and he's just like, she's like. We're
so
dancing.
if you could imagine, what do you think Bradley Cooper is whispering to his ex-wife?
Good question.
Well, also, was he whispering to Jennifer Lawrence when on the dance floor? Because he whispers in her ear.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but it's a good question.
Well, we do catch a glimpse of the conversation, right? Because he does start to get a little mad.
It's like you say, it's not a quick little thing. I mean, he's talking to her for quite a bit.
And at first, he's like, I lost weight. I read your books, and she starts to have a look of concern on her face, like this guy's getting a little creepy, know. But I think he probably said, I think he probably said, you know what, I'm gonna be all right, and.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think he said I found somebody, but I think he said, all in all, I think I'm going to be all right.
I'm going to be okay, and I think it's a good idea if we just go our separate ways or something to that effect.
Probably something along those lines. Although it is the first time you see the film, the way he takes Jennifer Lawrence off of him, hugging him when he sees Nikki, like it's aggressive, and like the way they're hugging each other after the dance, and then he catches Nikki like in his view, and like he kind of separates from
he pushes her to the side,
and then he pushes her to the side, but in I don't want to say aggressive because it wasn't aggressive, but in a strong fashion, and so the first time you see the film, you don't think that he's in love with her. Like he's walking towards
Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, he's walking towards Nikki. That's why, and Robert De Niro sees that, and it's another great moment between father and son. Like I don't want to listen to my father. I know you want to listen to me, but I'm telling you, I don't know if Nikki ever loved you, but that girl loves you.
Don't fuck this up.
It's so good, and that actress who played Nikki too. I mean, that's just a great shot of her too when. You can really see the look in her face. It's like understanding and disappointment at the same time. It's kind of like her going like, I get it. Like it's okay. Like, you do you. I mean,
I felt like she was happy for him. I felt like she was happy for him.
I think he put her mind at ease. I think, she's probably worried about him and but I think he probably said, like Dean said, like,
I'm going to be all right.
I'm going to be okay.
You're going to be okay. Say the goddamn words.
And there was that one, the scene, a couple of scenes before that when Nikki shows up that was some great acting from Jennifer Lawrence. She's like, "You're killing me!"
You're killing me. You're killing me.
And Ronnie's like, "No, he said you got to give her the chance."
Pat said you can't throw a marriage away. You can't throw. He didn't say that. Yeah, he did. He told me. And then she goes and downs 2 of the largest vodkas I've ever seen in my life. It's like,
right?
Give me a vodka.
Like,
Water.
Seriously? Like, can I go to that bartender? Because that's a great pour.
Yeah,
it was a regular tall boy glass, and she's just
it was a pint glass.
It was.
So okay, here's another question.
They need that bar 911 guy.
When do you think the moment? When was the moment that Bradley Cooper realized that he was in love with Jennifer Lawrence?
Oh, I think right after the dinner. When she said not because she said we can go upstairs, if we turn off the lights we can have sex. I just think when they're at the dinner and they're talking about the medications, they're clicking on a level, and like Dean said before, that maybe other people don't understand because of their ailment. It puts them on a different level of awareness. I mean, that's just the way it is. So yeah. I think because he runs away from that interaction after she hugs him and immediately goes and looks for his wedding video, because I think that's the moment he's like, oh shit, I just felt something for someone else. And now I'm petrified. So I think it was immediate. And he kind of says it in the letter, though. He says he knew it from the minute he saw her. Yeah, that he was in love with her. But I think,
but he's fighting against it.
Yes,
Matt. Right, Matt. He spent most of the time fighting, trying to justify to himself that his marriage was so great. And then when he explained it to her,
he doesn't want to face it.
Yeah. Sometimes we'll fight and not talk for 2 weeks, but our love is amazing. And she's like, really?
There's also there's also that montage in the middle of the movie where they're practicing the routine and he sees Tiffany, getting undressed. Yeah, and like you see the reflection and you see that look on his face of like,
and what does he do? And Matt, what does he do?
He's kind of
runs out.
He runs out, and then you see him. I think at the next shot, he kind of just lies on his bed, and it's just like, what? Huh? What? Like he doesn't really know how to react.
And I think in that scene that you're talking about, Matt, I think he turns over and the books are stacked on the books he was reading, and they fall off the bed. Almost like and he said, I'm falling behind in my, like, he also said, I'm behind in my reading. So he was slowly starting to, like, that became not that important anymore. Like reading all the books in the syllabus became like, that was like his main focus. Like, I have to read all these books. And then all of a sudden I've fallen behind. And then I think symbolically there's that scene where he kind of turns over in the bed and all the books fall off. And it's kind of like,
God, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, that's great.
Such great symbolism.
It's absolutely a metaphor for like, okay,
do us a favor, don't read anymore.
What's that? Yeah, with the Ernest Hemingway.
Why don't you have Ernest Hemingway apologize?
You got no problem waking us up at 4 a.m. to talk about Ernest Hemingway. And that's funny. You know what? That's another callback. Because you know what? He actually mirrored. I wrote that down. He actually mirrored A Farewell to Arms when he's yelling at his parents and he's saying, "You have this great life, this thing," and then they go dancing. And I don't really care about dancing, but then they come back and the wife gets killed or something. Why can't they have a happy ending? And what did they do? He didn't care about dancing. Mm-hmm. He ended up dancing, and he had a happy ending. So we had to have that ending.
There you go, Eric.
It telegraphed A Farewell to Arms.
There you go.
He basically told the story when he was relating how upset he was that he goes, life is hard enough and there's all these struggles, and why, he went through all this, and why can't he have a happy ending? And he mentioned specifically about dancing. So
you think they'd live happily ever after? No, she dies.
Did I just blow Matt's mind? Did I blow your mind by that?
You did. Like, this is the crazy thing about when you rewatch movies and also when you hear people tell these things, because I'm like, yeah, that really does make sense. This is
a movie worth revisiting. And there's always something.
Oh, this is, if it's on, you watch it. I don't care what point it's if it's on, you watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I think that's how I saw it. I don't think I saw it a full way through. I think I might have caught it on cable at some point. And it was very intriguing. The snappy dialogue and the rapid fire acting. Mm-hmm. I think that's what caught me. And then I went back because I remember not remembering the beginning because I didn't see it the whole way through.
That's weird because I remember, I think it was based on your recommendation, you and Christy. because I hadn't seen it yet, and you guys got to see Silver Linings Playbook. I remember you guys
Maybe
talking
just
it
based
up
on me
back
seeing
then.
half of it.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know, but that's the first time I saw it. I think I rented it or something. Yeah.
Dean, do you prefer Silver Linings Playbook or American
Don't go there.
Hustle?
You can't go there.
No, I just did. It's out there. I can't put it back in the box. I can't
Answer the question.
I can't unsay
It's
it.
too hard. I usually say I like American Hustle better.
Oh my god!
Because ELO's in it twice.
No, because Matt, did you see American Hustle?
Yeah, I liked it. I actually didn't love it. I actually was very confused by it. I like the plot kind of confused me a little bit. I don't know if I was just like in a weird mood when it came out. That came out the year I graduated, and I didn't have a job, so I was like a little bit depressed. So I don't know, but no, it's a good movie. No, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
and like the cast is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean Christian Bale made that movie for me. So his portrayal of Irving was like it's like that movie hinges on him.
Yeah,
like that whole movie hinges on his performance, and Christian Bale was just absolutely amazing in it. So, and you get all of you get everybody from Silver Linings transplanted in. So you get De Niro, you get Shea Wiggum, you get Jennifer Lawrence, you get Bradley Cooper, you get all the great stuff from and you
Paul Herman. You get Paul Herman.
Yeah, you got Paul Herman in his so you get all that stuff transplanted into American Hustle, and I'm like, oh, and the music is just the soundtrack is just really amped up. Not that the soundtrack for Silver Linings isn't great, but on American Hustle, like from the beginning, as soon as they were playing Dirty Work by Steely Dan and they're walking in, I'm like, Jesus Christ. I was like, this movie. That movie,
they're very similar. Yeah, they're very similar. They have that David O. Russell feel to it, I didn't like Joy. Joy was his movie.
I didn't love Joy.
It's kind of, I thought it was a little disappointing, but I feel like those, like, they really proved that, oh my God, Russell kind of has like a little bit of a style to him. I think in all of his movies, it's kind of the same with Silver Linings Playbook. I think the scenes, the way that they're blocked and the way that they're filmed and the way that the actors are delivering their lines, they're kind of speaking over one another. And the camera almost kind of like pans a little bit, like you're like walking around, it really, he does that a lot in his movies.
Yeah. He absolutely moves between, really he'll move between characters in a scene. So it's like you're there. It's like when someone's speaking, you shift your attention towards someone else. They cut away when it's like someone opposite, but when it's two people next to each other, it feels very natural when you're watching. It's like, it's almost like I'm in the house. It gives it that cozy feeling, not like, oh, we're cutting a film that we're filming inside a house. Those scenes have that intimate feeling. So
very intimate. Yeah.
Did we go over everybody's favorite scenes? Should we bother? I think since Matt's a first time guest, I think we need to put him through the favorite scene ringer. So, we won't make Christy go first. We'll let her wait.
Only
Usually
one?
She goes first.
That's the thing. That's hard. There are a lot of
it's always
favorite scenes.
Let's start with one, Matt. We'll start with one, and we'll see how it goes from there. Because someone else might take yours, and be like,
Matt,
okay,
give two, just so I can give two.
Okay. I love the diner Raisin Bran scene when Jennifer Lawrence just goes, "I'm just the crazy slut with a dead husband." Ha ha. That kills me so much. Oh, that's so hard. Okay. I'm gonna pick two. I think that's my favorite. I think my second favorite is definitely the scene between De Niro and Pat. When De Niro's crying to him.
Yeah. Great choices.
Very different scenes, but very good.
Yeah, that pretty much, those are two good contrasting scenes that kind of sum up a lot of it. Christy, what do you got?
Yeah.
Well,
just one.
Well, the diner scene was one.
The new guest gets two. You get one.
Yes.
The diner scene was my top choice. I love that scene. I just love their interaction. I love the way they play off of each other. I can't pick the second scene that Matt just picked because then that would be bad. So, I guess because they're all in the scene with the parlay, and you just it's just this whole dynamic. I do enjoy that scene very much. So I guess I would have to go with the Jennifer Lawrence going toe to toe with De Niro is always an enjoyable scene, and then I get at least one Jackie Weaver in there with when she makes the face when she gets outed for helping Tiffany, where Pat's running.
Yeah, she has such an innocent, like she has that like doe-eyed look, like she tries to look so innocent, like, oh, it's just,
She's so great.
how can you lie? He's like, you were telling her where, you were telling Tiffany where he was running. Eric, what do you got?
Okay, well, I would have said that entire sequence I think is amazing. Okay. But I'm gonna probably pick. I do enjoy the scenes with his psychiatrist. When he's the scene where he hears the song and he freaks out, and the psychiatrist like basically ponies up and says, "Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did that on purpose. I just wanted to see your reaction." I was like, "What?" Like that.
Worst psychiatrist ever.
Right. Cliff is a little sketchy.
Yeah, and I love that scene, and I also love the scene with the bus where they come to the game and there's a fight scene, and
that's actually a good scene. My
brother, another good
brother in green.
Yeah, that's another good Bradley Cooper scene because I'm not going to fight. And then he sees his brother he goes, "No, don't touch my brother!" And he just starts destroying the guy.
I know that's such a stressful scene. I have to turn away because I'm in my head. I'm like, "Don't fight, please don't fight, please don't fight."
And Cliff is like, "Today I'm not your doctor. We're brothers and eagles or whatever." You're like, "I'm not your doctor today."
Yeah.
So
and that's the thing. They're all just trying to enjoy themselves and enjoy the game, and these guys have got to be assholes. And
like when they're doing the montage, when they're doing the eagle dance.
Yeah, you don't belong here, and all this stuff, and get out of here, and just went south from there. But it's just
And then they all end up at the house. Even Cliff without the shirt still. Excuse me, what is this parlay? What is this parlay? Explain the parlay.
It speaks to the whole community though of his support.
But much of it's not plausible. Like that, all these the cops are always going to. But it works. It's hysterical. It adds. It does. It just adds to the film.
Matt took one of my favorite scenes early on is the running scene. Well, all the running scenes in the beginning,
but
where she sneaks up and he's he like spits and she spits also, and then he starts running away. And then the first time she's like, crazy, like, what's the matter with you? Like, I live here. Like, you're running by my house. I live here. Well, I like to run alone.
My neighborhood.
This is where I run. This is where I run.
I like to run
my
alone
neighborhood.
Too. Yeah.
And just
I'm
just
married. He's like, I'm married. She goes, I'm married too. He goes, no, your husband's dead. It's not the same thing.
It's also just strange.
Wow.
I always think it's strange that he's wearing like a trash bag over his. He's like, it's like to get the sweat, okay? Like, it's for it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's an ongoing concern. And he goes, why are you wearing a trash bag? and then his mother same thing. Why are you wearing a trash bag? Like, because I've got sweat. I'm moving the ball upfield. I'm making it happen. And they're like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're a little too happy. Are you taking the right dosage of medicine? Or are you taking a little bit?
I don't know what it is. I'm not a big sports nut either, but I love sports movies. I love, I don't know what it is. I could watch. I'm so engaged in anything that has to do with sports in a film.
Yeah.
I don't know, Jerry Maguire, Field of Dreams, all these, all this kind of stuff, Bull Durham.
Yeah, because it's so romantic. It's very romantic.
Right.
Is the notion of it. And for my second one, I'm going to take the second half of the Excelsior scene because that scene is just so great. But after De Niro gets on to Team Tiffany and he starts to go at Randy, goes, Excelsior belongs in this house. It doesn't belong in New York. Excelsior belongs in this house. Like he is totally bought in. He believes in his son so much, and he believes in the superstition. After Tiffany gave all the statistics that, every time he was with her, they won, and it wasn't because he was staying home, that he was reinvigorated. Right? He goes, Randy, it's +1. I'm going to give you 3 points. And they're like, no. And he's like, I'm going to give you 10. And they're like, no. Shane Wiggum's like, Dad, what are you doing? He's like, stop it. He was so confident that he not only bet the farm, he bet the farm, he bet the cattle, and he bet everything else too. Like, so such a he was so invigorated and so believing in his son again. But then it crashed again because that's when Bradley Cooper was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing it. This is toxic. You're toxic, Randy. This whole thing is toxic. And then just that quickly, like we said, the screenplay turns and De Niro turns against him. right? Snatch it, just like Deshaun Jackson, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. And Braille's like, I don't even know what that means anymore. Like, I don't even know what you're saying. And that's when he reads the letter. So again, a really great acting scene, but then a really great example of the screenwriting, how it turns again. Yeah, how it was serious. It got comedic. It got fun, and then it got serious again. You know,
if it were me reading the signs, if it was you reading the signs.
Yeah.
Oh, there's also, and let's we didn't talk about the scene with the brother too. Like, you know, when he comes in and he has that moment where he's like, yeah, I want to tell you that I'm doing well. I want to tell you that that I'm doing well in my firm, and he can't, because it's, you know, you feel for the brother there, and then they embrace. So that's a really nice moment.
Yeah, because he felt awkward about celebrating his successes. So I think that's going to do it for this episode. Matt Bussy.
Wow.
Thanks a bunch.
Thank you for having me. Oh my God, this was a blast.
I hope you had fun.
It was okay. No, this was so much fun. Thank you.
That's what most of the guests say. So you're right in line with that. They're very nonplussed about their appearance.
Matt will add you to the group text.
Yeah, you're in now. Then
no, this was such a pleasure. Really, I love. I could talk about movies like all day, any day, and and this is great. This literally, like, I just learned like 10 new little hidden things in this movie, like metaphors and stuff that I didn't know before. So thank you,
Matt. What I sent you before we go? I sent you 2 films. When we connected, I said here's 2 films. And they couldn't have been more different. And you said, oh my God, I love both of these films.
Yeah.
What was the other film?
It was Sin City, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, very different. Very different. Very Sin City's a little bloody.
A little darker.
A little darker.
But you have Elijah Wood. That's nice.
You have Elijah Wood playing a cannibal in it. Yeah. Oh man. Well, yeah, totally different movies. So but Sin City, that is just one of the coolest looking movies of all time.
We will absolutely get you back for Sin City and for more if you're up for it.
Hell yeah.
In the meantime, you need to check out his podcast. I'm reviewing here. And we're gonna drop a link in the show notes too. So you'll be able to click on that link. And it'll take you right to his podcast and Spotify. Like I said, he's got a lot of episodes that he's putting out. So there's something there for stuff that's familiar. And if you want to take a trip and listen to something a little bit different, he's got it. He's got it covered. So Matt, thank you so much for joining us. We absolutely appreciate it.
Pleasure.
It was a lot. It was a lot of fun having you, and we look forward to having you on some more. So
thank you, thank you guys so much.
It's been great. So that's going to do it for this episode of 3324 Podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, and
thank you, Christy.
Lower.
As always.
I was lower.
What the fuck?
Busted.
What? What?
You didn't thank me.
I'm getting there.
No, you were doing you were saying goodbye.
Enough.
But I've been on this enough, so don't bullshit me. You were saying goodbye. That's just rude.
Christy,
we thank you.
Christy,
we love you.
Christy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, could you say it lower?
Oh, that's sweet.
Christy, thank you as always for joining us on the 3324 podcast. I hope this feels genuine and heartfelt.
You're welcome.
There you go. See? So,
my goodness.
Eric, Matt, it was a pleasure. You too.
The beautiful thing
the
beautiful thing is I have full editing power. So, anyway, that's gonna do it. If you've watched this far on YouTube, give us a like and a subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. That would be a lot of fun for us. Don't forget to check out Matt Bussy at his I'm Reviewing Here podcast. Link will be in the show notes. For Matt, for Christy, and for Eric, this has been Dean asking you to please be kind and rewind.
You've been listening to the 3324 podcast with Dean Legiro and Eric Kuber. You can find us on your favorite podcast provider, so please like, subscribe, and rate to become a part of the 3324 family. Your feedback is important, so make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at 3324 podcast and on Twitter at 3324p to join the conversation.